Tonight, you do not drift into an ordinary dream. You slip into a world where pillows are more than cushions and sleep is guarded by codes of silence. You opened your eyes to the scent of rose water mingled with the faint musk of sandalwood. The air feels heavy, as if carrying centuries of secrets. The soft shimmer of an oil lamp trembles against the marble wall, and the sound of a slow-sealing fan its blades carved from teakwood whispers above you. You are not in your own room. You are in Agra, the year 1627. The empire breathes round. You, Shah Jahan, is not yet the emperor, but his presence is a shadow forming, waiting. Tonight you are neither king nor queen, neither servant nor noble tonight. You are simply a listener, your soul carried by silence, placed in the quiet chamber of the royal pillow makers. You rise slowly, your body wrapped in a cotton sheet softer than any you have known. The floor beneath you is cool marble, veined like a river map. Each vein feels alive, as if the earth itself runs beneath the palace. You step forward, and the faint echo of your bare feet trembles against domed ceilings painted with delicate vines. Somewhere, a peacock cries. Somewhere, a woman laughs, faint and fleeting. And then silence folds back over the night. The pillow makers, coiros, as some call their mar artisans who do not simply stitch fabric. They guard whispers, dreams, and codes of silence. To lay one's head upon their work is not just to rest, but to surrender. And you, tonight, have been allowed to wander their secret world. A man sits in the corner, his back bent with age. His fingers thin, but steady as they pull needle through silk. His lamp burns low, yet his eyes are clear. He does not look up at you, but you feel he knows you are here. He hums under his breath a tune without words, something between prayer and lullaby. The pillows he works on are not merely stuffed. Some are filled with cotton gathered at dawn. When dew still kisses the fibers, others hold slivers of cooled sandalwood, meant to calm the fevered mind. There are those stitched with herbs neem for cleansing, chamli for fragrance, phosphor, its grounding scent. Each pillow is a vessel, and each vessel holds a code. For the emperor, for the empress, for the child who cannot sleep, for the poet who dreams too much. You lean closer. His hands move slowly. And as the needle slips in and out, you hear a sound, like breath, a steady rhythm, like the inhaling and exhaling of sleep itself. You realize this is no ordinary craft. Each stitch is like a syllable in an unwritten poem. Each thread is a quiet verse. The pillow maker does not speak, but the fabric speaks for him. You turn, and the chamber stretches wider. You see younger apprentices, boys no older than 12, their heads shaved except for a small tuft at the back, their eyes heavy with both fatigue and awe. They work silently, for silence itself is part of their training. To talk too much in this chamber is to weaken the pillows, to disturb the balance of sleep. The silence here is thick, sacred, and you feel it pressing against your chest. You move through the workshop. Rolls of brocade from Benares glimmer in one corner, dyed in colors that seem to drink candlelight deep indigo, the green of river weeds, the red of crushed gulab petals. Skeins of silk from cashmere lie piled like rivers, frozen in motion. Cotton from the Deccan rests in heaps, its whiteness softer than snow, waiting to be breathed into shape. And then, beyond the fabrics, you see a row of finished pillows. Each one rests inside a carved sandalwood chest, tied with ribbons of gold. Thread. The lids are closed, but you sense they hold more than softness. They hold promises. One pillow carries the weight of a bride's first night in the Zenana. Another, the comfort of an emperor on the eve of battle. Another, the tears of a widow who cannot sleep without her husband's warmth. You feel a pull. You want to touch them, to press your face into the embroidered surface, to surrender to the dreams they guard. But you hold back, because you know these are not yours. They belong to history. You wander further, and the air cools. You step into a side chamber, dimmer, quieter. Here the silence is heavier still, as if the walls themselves are listening. A single apprentice sits cross-legged, polishing the needle of his master. His lips move as though whispering words into the steel, as if even tools must learn to carry secrets. He glances at you, not startled, not questioning, as though he, too, knows you are a traveler from another time. The silence here is alive. It hums in your ears. You begin to notice how silence itself has shades. There is the silence of concentration, sharp and fragile. There is the silence of devotion, soft and weighty. And then there's the silence of sleep, the deepest of all. The silence that holds you like a mother's arms. This silence is what the pillow makers guard. You sit down upon the marble floor. The scent of jasmine drifts from a courtyard nearby. A slow breeze enters, carrying with it the faint rustle of neem leaves. Your eyes grow heavy, and for a moment you almost forget this is a story. You almost believe you are truly here, truly. Sitting among them, watching the night turn its pages, the old master sets his needle down at last. He lifts a finished pillow, embroidered with tiny vines of silver thread. He places it gently upon the floor before him, bows his head, and whispers, a prayer so soft you cannot catch the words. You do not need to. You understand. The prayer is not for the pillow. It is for the dreamer who will rest upon it. The lamp flickers. The marble seems to breathe. Outside, the moon rises above Agra, pale and watchful, and you, in this silence, realize that you have stepped into a code older than any book, older than any law. The silence of sleep is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is the empire's quiet heart, beating beneath its noise, its battles, its ambitions. You close your eyes. The murmurs of the workshop blend into the sound of your own breath. And just as you begin to drift, you hear a whisper, perhaps from the old master, perhaps from the silence itself. So Jiao, sleep. Tomorrow carries its own weight. The whisper lingers like smoke, and the world folds back into stillness before your eyes fully open. Something presses against you, not a hand, not a body, something invisible yet heavy. You breathe in, and the air itself tastes different. It is thick with dust, with threads of cotton drifting like tiny ghosts. You feel it enter your lungs, scratching, clinging, reminding you that even the art of sleep begins with discomfort. The chamber is darker now. The lamps have been dimmed, the apprentices asleep in corners, curled against rolls of cloth. Only one lamp burns low, and in its glow you see piles of raw cotton. Mountains of softness waiting to be broken. Combed, cleansed, the sweetness you imagined has vanished. The cotton smells faintly sour, touched by the sweat of those who carried it on their backs from distant fields. Your nose wrinkles, but you breathe again. Because you must. You reach for the cotton. At first it feels soft, cloud-like, almost weightless. But as you dig deeper, you discover seeds still trapped inside, bits of husk sharp against your skin. This is the first truth of pillows. Softness begins in labor, and every comfort carries hidden thorns. The apprentices rise before dawn to clean this cotton. They pull the seeds out with calloused fingers, comb the fibers with iron tools that scrape against stone. The sound is harsh. Like bones rattling in jars, you flinch. But they do not. For them, this is routine. Their hands grow red, their nails dark with dust. They do not complain, because silence is expected here. And yet, silence does not erase suffering. You notice the way one boy coughs as he works, his chest rising and falling to fast the cotton, dust clinging to his lashes. He wipes his face with the back of his hand, leaving a streak of grime. He is perhaps 10, perhaps 11, too young to know that he is shaping the rest of his life with each breath. You want to help him, to take the cotton from his hands, to let him sleep. But you are only a witness, a shadow in another century. Your hands pass through his world like wind. The master enters. His voice is quiet, almost tender, yet it cuts through the room like a blade. He says a single word sober, patience. The apprentices lower their eyes, their hands working faster. You feel the command settle into your own chest, sober, patience. Is the law here? Patience with pain, patience with silence, patience with life itself. The cotton is beaten with boughs long wooden tools strung with taut gut. The apprentices pluck the strings, and the vibration shakes the fibers apart. The sound is strange, like a sitar played without melody. Twang, twang, twang. The air fills with rhythm. Harsh yet mesmerizing, until the whole chamber hums like a great silent song. The dust rises, thicken now. It burns your throat. You cover your mouth. But the apprentices do not. Their eyes water, but they keep working. You begin to understand the secret of this silence. It is not peaceful, not yet. It is heavy, built upon endurance. The silence of sleep is purchased by the noise of labor, by the coughs that echo in the lungs of children. You walk further into the chamber, and the smell changes again. The cotton, once sour, begins to sweeten as it is cleaned, as rose water is sprinkled over the fibers. A boy carries a brass bowl, his small arms trembling as he pours drops across the whiteness. The water falls in beads, glistening like pearls before vanishing into the cloud. The scent spreads, cooling your senses. Dust gives way to fragrance, bitterness to calm. Still, the process is slow. Hours pass in silence, broken only by the bow's twang, the rustle of hands, the quiet shuffle of bare feet. You lose sense of time. The moon outside fades, and a grey light creeps into the windows. Dawn has arrived. The apprentices do not pause to watch the sunrise. They know the day is only beginning. You look at their faces in this pale light then, weary, but strangely radiant, as though the first rays of the sun carve halos round their heads, and you think, perhaps even hardship can glow when carried in silence. You turn, and you notice a door you had not seen before. It is narrow, carved from dark wood, half hidden behind a roll of brocade. You step closer. The door is slightly open, and you slip inside. The air shifts. It is colder here, sharper, as though the stones of the palace have not yet warmed to the sun. You find yourself in a narrow passage, lined with shelves, but these shelves do not hold books, nor fabrics. They hold pillows unfinished, misshapen, bound with string. Some bulge unevenly, others sag, their seams loose. These are the failures, the rejected ones. You touch one. It feels heavy, awkward. You press your ear against it, and you swear you hear something an echo, faint and unsettling. It is the sound of restless sleep, of a man tossing in the night, of a woman weeping softly so as not to be heard. These pillows were not blessed with silence. They were stitched with broken rhythm, with uneven breath, and so they are banished here, hidden away from royal heads. You step back, shivering. You realize how fragile this art is. A single loose stitch, a single hurried hand, and the silence collapses. Comfort turns to chaos. Even pillows, it seems, carry the weight of destiny. You return to the workshop. The apprentices have begun to stuff the cleaned cotton into casings of silk. Their hands are precise, pushing just enough, never too much. A pillow must be neither too firm nor too soft. It must cradle without smothering, support without resisting. You watch as one boy smooths the fabric, pressing his palm across it as though calming a restless child. The master inspects their work. His eyes linger, sharp but not cruel. He adjusts a seam here, a corner there, his silence heavier than any reprimand. The boys bow their heads, ashamed by his smallest touch. You realize this silence is more powerful than shouting. Silence here is discipline. Silence is command. Silence is the invisible law of the workshop. You feel it wrapping round you, pressing into your ears, until even your own thoughts seem to loud dot, and then, just as you begin to lose yourself in this hush, something startles you. A sound unlike any other in the room. A sneeze, sharp, unplanned, breaking the spell. An apprentice claps his hand over his mouth. Eyes wide with fear, the others freeze for a heartbeat. The room holds its breath. The master looks up. His eyes are calm, unreadable. He says nothing. Instead, he closes his own eyes, inhales deeply, and lets the silence return. The boy bows his head, trembling. But no punishment comes, only the weight of knowing he has cracked the code, however briefly. You sit in the corner, your chest heavy with the dust of cotton. Your mind heavy with the silence of labor. You begin to feel the tension between comfort and suffering, between softness and struggle. You understand now that every royal dream rests upon hidden labor. That silence itself is woven from pain dot outside. The courtyard stirs with life. A rooster crows. A woman draws water from the well. The splash of her bucket echoing faintly. The city of Agra is waking, its noise rising like smoke. But inside this chamber, the silence holds. It must, for silence is the first code of sleep. You close your eyes. And the smell of rose water lingers. Your chest burns with the dust. But your mind drifts into calm. You understand now. Sleep is never free. It is stitched, combed, beaten, curried. It is built upon the backs of those who remain nameless, and yet, somehow, it is still beautiful. Your first task is simple. Stay alive long enough to reach midday. The chamber of pillows feels gentler now, but outside, the palace stretches like a living body, vast, restless, and unforgiving. You step beyond the doorway, and the morning air greets you with a shock. It is sharper, cooler, tinged with smoke. From kitchens where servants stir pots of rice and lentils. You draw it in, and your body stiffens because even breathing feels different here. The air is heavier with dust, with ash, with 1,000 breaths layered upon one another. You walk through a corridor lined with latticed screens. Behind them, the women of the Zenana are already stirring. You hear faint laughter, the rustle of silks, the murmur of gossip. A maid sings an old broad song while braiding her mistress's hair. Another whispers a prayer in Arabic, her hands tracing invisible verses into the air. Their lives are hidden. Yet their sounds spill softly into the corridor. But your place is not among them. You turn toward the servants' quarters, where the day's labor begins. Hear the noise shifts, pots clang, buckets splash, feet shuffle quickly across stone. Sleep is over, and survival has returned. The first struggle is food. You feel your stomach ache with emptiness. The scent of fresh flatbread roti wafts from the kitchen, and you realize how hungry you are. A line has already formed. Stable boys, washermen, guts. Each holds a small brass bowl, waiting for whatever portion will be ladled into it. Some will eat rice, others millet. A lucky few will taste mutton if the kitchens are generous. You take your place, silent, watching. The kitchen fire crackles, smoke stings your eyes. A woman with strong arms tears dough and slaps it against the hot iron plate. The sound is sharp, rhythmic, like a drum. One by one, the servants step forward, receive their share, and retreat. When your turn comes, you extend your hands. A thin spoonful of lentil stew is poured into your bowl, along with half a roti, torn roughly from a larger round. It is not enough. Not really. But it is something. You sit on the ground to eat. The food is warm, salty, carrying the faint taste of turmeric and smoke. You chew slowly. Because there is little to chew, you swallow quickly. Because others still wait. And when your bowl is empty, the hunger is not gone. It simply softens into patience. You wipe your mouth, rise, and follow the others into the courtyard. Here the sun climbs higher, spilling light across sandstone walls. Its heat presses against you, but it is not yet unbearable. You know it will be. By midday, the air will shimmer with fire, and shadows will vanish into glare. But for now, the world breathes. Work begins. A guard polishes his spear until it gleams. A washerman beats clothes against stone, the rhythm loud as thunder. Gardeners bend over the earth, their hands dark with soil, planting rows of tulips that will bloom months from now. Each task seems endless, yet each is done in silence, broken only by the sounds of tools, water, and breath. Your task is smaller, humbler. You are handed a broom made from date palm fibers. The courtyard must be swept, the marble cleared of dust and petals fallen from last night's gardens. You bow your head and begin. The broom scratches against the stone. Dust rises, swirling in the sunlight like golden smoke. Your arms ache quickly, but you keep moving, because to stop is to invite notice, and notice is dangerous. As you sweep, you feel eyes upon you. You glance up, and Obel pauses. His robe shimmering with zari embroidery, his turban bound high with a jeweled ornament. He does not look directly at you. He does not need to. His glance enough to remind you. Your life is smaller than his shadow. You lower your gaze, and your broom moves faster. But inside, you whisper to yourself, "What if they notice I do not belong here?" You are an intruder in time, a stranger among centuries. You wonder if your silence is enough to disguise you, or if the empire itself can sense your difference. You sweep harder, your heart pounding as though the marble might echo your secret. You hear the sound of footsteps, lighter this time. You look up again. A child runs past barefoot, laughing, her anklets jingling like silver bells. She is no more than 6, dressed in a simple cotton kurta, her hair loose. She pauses, staring at you with curious eyes, as though she sees something others cannot. You freeze. She tilts her head, then smiles and runs off. Relief washes over you, but also a strange unease. Children notice what adults ignore. The sun climbs higher. The courtyard grows hotter. Sweat gathers at your temples, runs down your spine. The broom grows heavier in your hands. Your stomach twists with hunger again, as though the little food you ate has already burned away. The noise of the palace grows louder. Orders shouted. Camels groaning in the stables, parrots squawking from cages. And beneath it all, your own thoughts murmur, "Maybe I am not meant for this." You lean on the broom, your breath shallow. For a moment, you want to stop, to let the dust remain, to refuse the burden. But you know better. To refuse is to vanish, swallowed by punishment or obscurity. You grip the broom again, and the silence returns, not the silence of pillows, but the silence of obedience. The hours stretch like rope, tight and endless. You lose track of time. Only the sun tells you how long you have survived. Shadows shrink, the light sharpens. The air shimmers with heat. Noon approaches, and you realize you have endured. You are still here, still sweeping, still breathing, still unnoticed. For now, survival is enough. The sun stands high now, unblinking, merciless. Heat presses against your body, heavy as a hand, and every stone beneath your feet radiates fire. The palace has shifted into its noon rhythm, slower, quieter, deliberate. Servants move with caution, as though each step costs strength. Animals retreat into shade, their breaths long and shallow. Even the trees seem still, their leaves folded against the blaze. But in the hush of midday, another kind of life awakens. Rituals begin. Small, hidden acts that keep this empire's pulse steady. You are drawn toward them, though you do not know why. You pass under an archway, where the air cools briefly. Shadows ripple against the carved stone, chronic verses etched deep, their curves and lines filled with dust. You trace them with your eyes, and a murmur of prayer rises in your mind. Though the words are not fully yours, they belong to this time, and yet, as you listen, they seem to belong to you. Beyond the archway lies a courtyard smaller than the others. At its center is a pool, square, lined with marble, filled with water that reflects the sky like polished glass. Servants step forward one by one, dipping copper vessels into it. They wash their hands, their faces, their feet. Some whisper Bismillah before cupping the water to their lips. The pool ripples with every movement, and the sound of dripping water fills the air with quiet music. You pause at the edge. The water glimmers tempting. You kneel, dip your hands into its coolness. Relief shocks through you, spreading from your palms to your chest. You lift a handful to your face. The water runs down your cheeks, into your hairline, as though erasing the morning's fatigue. For a moment, you feel almost cleansed of time itself. Round you, ritual continues. A muezzin's voice rises from a nearby minaret. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, stretching across the palace, threading into every ear, soft yet commanding. Servants pause, bowing their heads. Guards set aside their weapons. Even parrots in their cages quiet. The sound does not demand. It enfolds. It reminds you that here, every act, even sweeping dust, belongs to something larger. You follow the others into a shaded chamber. The floor is bare, save for a thin reed mats aligned neatly. The smell of sandalwood lingers, faint but insistent, rising from a censer where smoke curls in pale ribbons. Men and women separate into their places. Robes rustle, feet shuffle, and then silence. They bow together, foreheads touching the earth. You hesitate, caught between intrusion and belonging. But your body moves before your mind decides. You kneel. Press your palms against the mat. Lower your head. The stone is cool against your skin, grounding you. You do not know the words, not fully, but the posture carries you. Something ancient stirs inside you, not memory, not knowledge, but surrender. When you rise, your breath is different, slower, deeper. Round you, the others disperse quietly, their tasks waiting, their duties calling. Yet each carries away a stillness, like a hidden flame cupped in the hand. You feel it too, though it flickers faintly within you, outside again. The sun has shifted. The light is softer, though still fierce. You return to the courtyard, and the world seems sharper. Every detail stands out. The shimmer of silk in a passing robe, the gleam of a sword hilt, the veins in a gardener's hands as he waters the tulips. It is as if the ritual has tuned your vision, reminding you that survival is not only body, it is spirit, too. But spirit is fragile, and soon hunger returns. By mid-afternoon, the kitchens stir again. Pots bubble with new stews, the scent of cumin and ghee drifts across the air. You follow it, drawn as though by a thread. Servants gather once more, bowls in hand, their faces tired but patient. You join the line, waiting, until finally food touches your hands again. This time it is rice, steaming, laced with a few strands of saffron. The portion is small, But the golden threads glow against the white grains, like sunlight captured in food. You eat slowly, each bite grounding you deeper into this century. The taste is both strange and familiar, warm, earthy, comforting as you swallow. You notice an old man nearby. His beard is white, his frame thin, but his eyes gleam sharp. He eats more slowly than anyone, each bite chewed as if tasting not just food but memory. When he finishes, he closes his eyes, murmurs something you cannot hear, and smiles faintly. For him, the meal is not survival, it is prayer. You realize then that here, every act hides a ritual, sweeping dust, drinking water, tasting rice. Each is wrapped in meaning, invisible yet unbreakable. The empire runs not only on swords and decrees, but on these small codes of silence, obedience, and reverence. You stand, bowl empty, and step back into the light. The day moves forward, and you move with it. Somewhere deep in the palace, drums beat faintly, signaling an announcement, or perhaps only marking the hour. Voices rise in the distance, then fade. Life continues, endlessly repeating, endlessly surviving, and you, too, are carried in its current. You are no longer only a stranger. You are a shadow in their rhythm, an echo in their silence. For now, it is enough. The day lengthens, and shadows sharpen. By late afternoon the palace is no longer quiet. It stirs with a restless energy, as though even the air has grown impatient. Courtyards fill with hurried feet. Orders are barked, softer than shouts, but heavier than whispers. The sound of drums rolls again, louder this time, echoing against the domes and walls. Something is shifting. You follow the sound, unsure whether curiosity guides you or compulsion. The corridor narrows, lined with lattice screens, behind which women's voices rise in bursts of laughter and song. The Zenana, hidden yet near. You cannot see them, but you feel their presence, like a fragrance carried on wind. They live behind curtains, but their influence moves beyond stone, for now. Their voices fade as you continue. The drums lead you into a wide courtyard. This one is different. No fountains, no tulips, no playful pets. Here, discipline lives. Soldiers stand in rows, their armor glinting in the waning sun. Spears rise like a forest of steel. Their faces are stern, eyes forward, bodies still. Only the banners move, their silken threads catching the wind. Scarlet and green and gold dot. At the center stands a figure, a commander, his robe trimmed with fur, his turban heavy with jewels. His beard is black, precise. His gaze sweeps the rows of soldiers like a blade. And then it sweeps to you. For a moment, the courtyard stills. The air thickens. His eyes do not leave yours. You feel naked, caught. What are you doing here? You do not know, and yet you cannot move. He speaks. His voice is deep, slow, measured, carrying not just authority but warning. The words are not fully clear to you, yet their meaning reaches anyway. Why do you watch? If you cannot obey, you cannot answer. Your silence hangs heavy, dangerous. A soldier steps forward, his spear raised. Not to strike but to test. He lowers the weapon until its tip points at your chest, gleaming in the light. The gesture is not violent, but it asks a question. Do you stand? Do you kneel? Do you turn away? You feel the weight of every watching eye. The courtyard holds its breath. Even the banners seem still. Slowly, you lower yourself, knees to the ground, palms pressed together, not in surrender, not in defeat, but in recognition. You bow your head, though not too deeply, enough to show respect, not submission. A murmur runs through the soldiers, like wind through leaves. The commander studies you, his eyes unreadable. Then, with the faintest tilt of his chin. He signals the soldier to lower the spear. The test is over, for now. But something inside you changes. You realize that here, survival is not just about food, water, ritual. It is about posture. Obedience is a language, silent but exact, a language you must learn if you wish to remain unseen. Unbroken, the soldiers return to their drills, spears rise, feet march. Orders echo. The courtyard fills with the rhythm of discipline. You step back into shadow, heart still pounding, breath uneven. You are not sure if you have passed, or only postponed the trial dot as you retreat. You hear laughter again, this time not from behind a lattice, but close, sharp, amused. You turn. A boy stands in the archway, no older than 12. His robes, too, fine for a servant, his eyes too bold for fear. He smiles at you, crooked, knowing. You bowed. He says softly, though the word is heavy with meaning, but not enough. Before you can reply, he vanishes into the corridor, his laughter fading into stone. The sun dips lower. Evening approaches, yet the air carries tension now, his string pulled tight. You walk slower, listening to every echo, every whisper. The palace has eyes, and you have been seen. Night does not fall suddenly here. It unravels, thread by thread, until the palace is dressed in a garment of shadow and silver. The last glow of the sun clings to the domes, turning their turquoise tiles into fire, before finally surrendering to the dark. One by one, lamps awaken, all flickers. Shadows breathe against the walls. You drift through the corridors as if carried, each step slower, softer, as though the palace itself asks you not to disturb its preparation. Doors close quietly. Servants move like silhouettes, carrying trays of brass cups, folded cloth, bowls of scented ash. Their eyes are downcast. Their silence is practiced, somewhere deep within. A conch shell sounds long, hollow, mournful, not for prayer, not for war. This call belongs to sleep. The palace is signaling itself. Prepare. You feel it too, a drowsiness sliding over you. Not sudden, but insistent. Your body grows heavier. Yet your mind sharpens strangely. The palace whispers, more clearly at night, as though secrets prefer darkness. You wander into a smaller chamber, its door half open, light spilling out in a thin blade. Inside, 3 figures sit cross-legged on the floor. They are older men, their beards white, their turbans plain. Between them rests a scroll, unrolled across a low table. Their fingers trace the ink, slow, deliberate. Like blind men following a path, you lean against the doorframe, watching. The words on the scroll are not clear to you, but their rhythm is. The men are reciting not aloud, but in murmurs so soft, they almost dissolve into the air. Their lips shape the syllables of a code, not language as you know it, a code of sleep. You sense it, the weight of its purpose. These are not prayers for gods, nor formulas for kings. These are instructions for a rest, a chart of silence, a map of slumber. One of the men pauses, lifts his eyes and sees you. His gaze is not angry, it is curious. He studies you, as if measuring whether you can bear what you see. Then, with a slight motion of his hand, he beckons. You hesitate, but the pull is stronger than fear. You step inside. The chamber smells of sandalwood and ink, faint smoke curling from a brass burner. The men shift to make room for you. The scroll lies before you like a river of symbols, circles, crescents, lines, tiny flowers drawn between them. None of it reads as words. Yet something in you understands not literally, but deeply. The oldest of the 3 leans closer. His voice is rough, A whisper coated with years. Not all codes are spoken. Some are breathed. He gestures toward the scroll. Your eyes follow, and suddenly the patterns stir. The circles seem to spin. The crescents open and close like eyelids. You blink, but the movement does not vanish. The scroll is alive. Your breathing slows. You do not mean to match its rhythm, but you do. The symbols pulse, and your lungs obey. Inhale, exhale. A pattern settles in your chest. The man watches, nods faintly. Yes, he murmurs. It accepts you. But then his expression changes, shadowed by warning. Do not take more than you are given. The codes guard themselves. The room falls. Silent again. The other men close their eyes, rocking slightly, as though swaying on invisible water. The scroll still pulses, faint but steady, waiting. You cannot look away. You want to reach. To trace the ink with your own fingers, to learn what is hidden there. But you remember his words. You pull your hand back. The oldest man sees this choice. He exhales softly, almost relieved. He touches the edge of the scroll. Rolling it closed, the symbols vanish. Only parchment remains. He leans near, his whisper, colder now. Like wind through stone, the palace tests obedience by day. By night, it tests restraint. Remember this, as silence follows, longer than comfort allows. Then, with a flick of his hand, he dismisses you, not unkindly, but firmly. You step back into the corridor, the door closing behind you with a muted thud. The palace is darkened now. Torches burn lower. Servants retreat deeper into their quarters. You feel the rhythm of the sleep code still in. Your alarms, steady, soft, dangerous. You do not know what it means, but you know it will not leave you as you walk. You notice a faint shimmer along the floor, as if the marble itself reflects moonlight that does not exist. You follow it, your steps quieter than ever. The shimmer leads you into another passage, one you have not seen before, narrow, curved, spiraling downward. At the air cools, the sound of water returns. Faint drips echoing. You descend, though you cannot see where the passage ends. Only the pull guides you, the echo of the scroll's rhythm in your chest. At last, you step into a chamber lit only by a single oil lamp. Its flame trembles, casting long shadows against the far wall. Piles of pillows are stacked high, embroidered, perfumed, stitched with gold thread. They rise like a mountain of dreams. You approach slowly. The air here smells of rosewater, musk, faint traces of opium smoke. You press your hand against one pillow. It is softer than anything you have touched. Yet inside it you feel something, harder, stranger, not stuffing, not cotton, something hidden. You lean close. And then you hear it, a whisper, not from a person, not from the room, from the pillow itself. The words are faint, muffled, secret. You cannot understand them, but you know their tone, instructions, warnings, rules, another code. The pillow is not just for sleep, it is for keeping silence alive. You step back, breath unsteady. Your hand trembles, the flame of the lamp flickers wildly. As though stirred by your fear, the chamber feels suddenly crowded. Though no one is there, you know now, the silence of this palace is not emptiness. It is alive. It is guarded. It breathes through scrolls, through men, through pillows, and now. It has noticed you. The lamp sputters. Darkness thickens. You do not move. You do not breathe. Too loudly. Because you feel it, the palace is listening. The lamp sputters once more, then steadies. Its small flame glows like an eye watching you. Round you the chamber is still. But the silence feels fuller, as though it carries weight, Yes. Though it has substance, you cannot shake the sense that the air itself is listening. You turn back toward the spiral passage, ready to climb. But the way behind you seems longer now, darker. As though the staircase has been swallowed, a hesitation grips you, and in that pause, something else reveals itself. A draft brushes your cheek, soft, cold, deliberate. You look to the far wall of the chamber, the one partly hidden by the mountain of pillows. The draught slips out from there, between stone and shadow. A seam, a hidden door. You step closer. The pillows resist, almost as if they are meant to block you, but you move them aside. One after another, their perfumes rise rose, amber, crushed mint. Burnt layer upon layer of scents meant to lull, distract, seduce beneath them. Your hand finds the edge of stone. You press. The wall shifts soundlessly. A slit of darkness opens. A new passage. You slip through. The door closes behind you without a sound. This corridor is narrower. Its ceiling low. The air is colder still. Tinged with damp earth and old incense, the floor beneath your feet is not marble now, but smooth stone worn by many steps. You follow it deeper, your hand grazing the wall to guide yourself. At last, a glow appears ahead. Not fire, not oil, something softer, greenish. Like light seen through water, you step into a circular chamber, vast and hidden, domed high above. And here, the silence is total, not heavy, not suffocating perfect. No drip of water, no flicker of flame. Not even the sound of your breath seems to belong here. It is as if the room itself consumes all sound the moment it is made. At the center of the chamber lies a circle of cushions, 12 in number, ranged like petals round an empty space. Above them, suspended from the dome by thin chains, hangs a brass ring inscribed with more of the strange symbols you saw on the scroll. The ring turns slowly, though no wind moves it. You take a step closer. The silence thickens. Pressing against your ears, your heartbeat seems to loud. You place a foot on one of the cushions, and instantly you feel it turn alignment. A click, as though you have stepped into the rhythm of something vast. Your body responds without thought. Your breathing slows, then stills. The circle beneath you holds not rest, but command. You look to the ring above. The symbols gleam faintly, shifting as it turns. They do not change shape, but your mind perceives them differently with each slow rotation. At first they seem like flowers, then like eyes, then like gates opening and closing, and then, faintly, a voice emerges not outside, but within. Not words, instructions. Breathe when the ring aligns. Hold when the symbol closes, release when. The circle opens. You obey without knowing why. Each breath feels stolen from a deeper silence. Each pause stretches longer, carrying you further inward. Time dissolves. Minutes, hours, perhaps days. You cannot tell. When you finally blink, you are no longer standing. You are seated cross-legged at the center of the cushions. Your hands resting on your knees. Your body lighter than air, round. The chamber glows more brightly. Though no flame has been lit, the silence hums, alive, pulsing. And then you notice them, figures, seated on the other cushions. You do not know when they appeared. Their faces are veiled, their robes dark, their posture still. Yet you feel their presence, as if they have been here all along. Waiting. One raises a hand, slow and fluid, and points toward the brass ring. The others bow their heads. You follow the gesture. The ring has stopped turning. Its symbols face downward, now, ranged in perfect order. And you understand this is the chamber of night codes, not spoken, not written, but lived. This circle is where silence is practiced, where breath is molded, where the very rhythm of sleep is decided. The veiled figures do not speak. They do not need to. Their silence is their code. You feel it pressing into you, reshaping you, teaching you, not through words, but through absence, through restraint, through the weight of quiet. A shiver runs through you, though the chamber is warm. You realize this is not merely a place of rest. It is a place of power. To command silence is to command the body. To command silence is to rule even the mind, and the mule pillow makers. You sense are not merely artisans, they are guardians of the silence. They weave it into fabric, they stitch it into seams, they place it in chambers where kings and queens lay their heads. Every pillow carries fragments of this code. Every cushion a small part of the larger circle, the veiled figures lower there. Heads again, and the glow of the chamber dims, the ring begins to spin once more. So, patient, you blink, and when your eyes open again, the chamber is empty, the cushions are gone. The figures have vanished. Only the stone floor remains beneath you, cold and bare. The silence still lingers, but it feels weaker, fading. You rise and steady, your body reluctant to leave. The passage waits behind you. You step into it, your footsteps returning at last. Faint echoes against stone. The silence no longer devours sound. You are outside the code, yet the rhythm remains inside you, a secret cadence, stitched into your breath, impossible to forget. When you emerge again into the chamber of pillows, the oil lamp has nearly burned out. The shadows stretch longer. The perfumes are fainter. Yet the sense of being watched remains. You know now. You carry part of the night code, and the palace knows you do. You stand among the pillows once more, but the chamber feels altered. The silence from the hidden circle clings to you, thin as a veil, heavy as a chain. Even the flicker of the dying lamp seems cautious, its flame bending low as if afraid to disturb what you now carry inside. Your breath does not sound like it once did. It is quieter, measured. Touched by something not entirely your own, the rhythm moves through you, steady and calm. But beneath it hums a warning. You look round. The pillows seem less like comforts now and more like sentinels, each one ranged with hidden intent. You notice patterns you had overlooked before, the way a cluster forms a crescent, the way another mirrors a star. These are not random piles, they are designs, codes stitched not just into fabric, but into space itself. And as you notice, so, to do they. From the far edge of the chamber, shadows detach themselves. They rise where no figure stood, drawn up from the folds of cushions, from the curtains hanging like silent waterfalls. They do not walk, they glide, veiled, faceless, tall, the same figures you saw in the hidden circle, or perhaps not the same, but bound by the same vow. You try to speak, but your voice will not form. Your throat moves, your lips part, yet no sound comes. The silence has claimed it. One of the figures raises a hand, the others freeze. You feel the weight of their gaze, though you cannot see their eyes. Then, slowly, the figure lowers its hand, and you understand. This is not a gathering meant to harm. It is a summoning. The air stirs. From behind the veiled figures, a new shape approaches, shorter, slower, wrapped in layers of cloth embroidered with faint threads of silver. The cloth is thick, as though muffling even the sound of its movement. When it stops before you, the others bow. You bow without knowing why. The figure leans closer. No face, only veil. Yet you sense the outline of age, the gravity of someone who has carried the code far longer than you have breathed. You expect words, but none come. Instead, a hand extends from the veil, thin and wrinkled, and in its palm rests a small object, a pillow no larger than your hand, stitched in silk so fine it seems woven from moonlight. You hesitate, then take it. The pillow is impossibly light, softer than breath, and yet when you hold it, you feel a weight not of fabric, but of silence itself. This is no ordinary cushion. This is a fragment of the law. The figure withdraws, and the circle is veiled. Watchers closes round you. For a moment, you feel trapped. But then you realize they are not closing in to confine. They are sealing the space, shielding it, as though what has just been given to you must remain unseen by the palace beyond. One figure steps forward and traces a gesture in the air, not writing, not language yet you understand. The gesture speaks of guardianship, of vow, of burden. The unwritten law of sleep. It is not carved into stone, nor written on scrolls. It is carried in silence, guarded by those who will never speak. You feel the law settling into you. Its meaning does not form in words, but in certainty that silence must be preserved, that sleep is not merely rest, but obedience, that the one who holds the code may command both. The figures step back. The elder lowers its head once more, and as they retreat into shadow, you are left clutching the small pillow, the weight of its silence burning in your hands. The lamp sputters out. Darkness fills the chamber, yet within the darkness, you feel the law glowing faintly inside you, as though stitched into your very breath. You cannot escape it now. Night deepens, but rest does not come. You lie among the cushions, yet every pillow presses against you like a watchful eye. The small moonlit pillow rests near your chest, so delicate in shape, so immense in weight. You cannot put it aside, cannot forget its touch. The palace is never truly silent. Doors whisper, curtains shift. Somewhere a string is plucked, soft and hesitant, like a musician playing for no one. Yet tonight, every sound feels sharper, cutting into the stillness. You close your eyes, but they refuse to stay closed. Your mind replays the circle of veiled figures. Their stillness more powerful than any voice. You think of the elder's hand, of the gift you accepted without understanding. Was it a gift or a chain? Then, faintly, you hear it, a whisper, not from the courtyard, not from the garden, but from somewhere closer, within the chamber itself. You sit up, the cushions rustle round you. Shifting as though disturbed by a breeze that does not exist, the whisper returns, softer now, but insistent. Not a language you know, but a tone you feel. Warning. Your gaze sweeps the chamber. Shadows layer upon shadows. In the far corner, you see a movement too subtle for chance. Someone is there, watching. You rise, clutching the small pillow, and step carefully. The rugs mute your footfalls, the whisper halts, and the silence that follows feels heavier than sound. At the corner, you find nothing, only a cushion overturned, its tassels bent, its fabric still warms if touched. You kneel, hand resting on it, when a voice comes not from behind, not from before, but beside your ear. Not all who serve the code serve in silence. You whirl, but no one stands there. The chamber is empty, the voice lingers, disembodied. Carried by nothing but your skin prickles. You realize now, the silence is not whole. Cracks run through it. Some who are sworn to guard it may have broken it. And betrayal, in a world of vows, is not a small fracture, it is a storm. The whisper comes again, urgent this time. You catch. Fragments, eyes, awake, within. The meaning unfurls slowly. There are watchers who refuse sleep, who will not close their eyes when ordered, who resist the code. And they, too, are here. A torch flares in the corridor outside. Heavy footsteps approach. You freeze, heart pounding. The door creaks open, spilling amber light across the chamber. A god enters. His face stern, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. He scans the room, his eyes passing over you, the cushions, the shadows. He says nothing, but his gaze lingers too long on the small pillow in your hands. When his eyes meet yours, something unspoken passes, recognition or suspicion. He nods. Once, curt, and withdraws. The door closes, the footsteps fade. You are alone again, alone, but not safe. The whisper has stopped. The silence is whole once more, but brittle. You can feel it, like glass beneath your feet. One step away from breaking, you sink back into the cushions, clutching the small pillow. Your eyelids grow heavy, yet you dare not let them fall. For now you know sleep itself has become dangerous, and in the darkness, beyond the veils, you sense eyes that do not close. The night bends toward morning, yet no rest touches you. The silence presses harder. A weight that grows heavier the longer it lasts. Every breath you take feels borrowed, every blink dangerous. You lie among the cushions, but the chamber feels less like a sanctuary and more like a cage woven in silk. The small moonlit pillow rests against your chest, warm now, as if carrying its own pulse. Then you hear it again, a sound too sharp to belong in silence. Not a whisper this time, something breaking. A thread pulled taut until it snapped. The silence fractures. It begins faintly. A murmur rising beyond the chamber walls. Not words at first, only a tide of sound. But soon, voices take shape. Defiant, unafraid, steady. They are speaking in the one way they are forbidden to. They are breaking the vow. You rise quickly, pressing your ear to the lattice window. The courtyard below is no longer calm. Torches flare. Moving like restless fireflies, figures gather. Some veiled, some bare-faced. Their movements are sharp, urgent, and hidden. The code is unraveling. You hear the voices now loud enough to pierce every cushion, every veil of the palace. We will not close our eyes, they chant. We will not be silenced. A rebellion, born not of steel, but of breath. Your hands clutch the small pillow tighter. The weight of its silence clashes with the rising storm outside. You feel caught between two worlds, one that commands sleep, one that resists it. The door bursts open. A pillowmaker rushes in, face pale, hands trembling. He bows low but cannot hide his fear. They are speaking, he says. His voice cracks under the terror of uttering the obvious. They have broken the silence. You cannot answer. You can only listen. The chamber trembles as the chants grow louder. Curtains sway though no wind enters. The very fabric of the palace seems to shift, uncertain. The pillowmaker kneels closer, his eyes wide. If silence falls, the empire rests. But if silence shatters, so does everything. Before you can reply, another sound cuts through the air. Not chant, not whisper steel. Swords unsheathed, clashing faintly somewhere deep within the palace. The rebellion has reached beyond voices. It is no longer just defiance, it is battle. You stand frozen. Every instinct begs you to move, to flee, to choose a side. Yet your body refuses. You are bound by the weight in your hands. The small pillow burns like a coal, pulsing silence against the roar of voices outside. You realize then, the code is not abstract. It lives in what you hold, and if the rebellion rises fully, they will come for it. The pillowmaker's eyes flick to the object in your grasp. His lips part as if to speak, but no words come. Instead, he falls silent, his expression torn between devotion and doubt. The door behind him shakes violently. Someone or many are trying to force their way inside. The silence strains. The rebellion pounds at the walls, and you, clutching the fragile weight of both, are caught at the breaking point. The pounding at the door does not stop. Wood strains, hinges groan. The silk curtains quiver with each strike. Yet inside the chamber, time feels slowed, as though, waiting for your choice, the pillowmaker kneeling before you lowers his head. His voice trembles but carries an old weight, something rehearsed across generations. There is one secret left. One code even deeper than silence. It was taught, only to the last of us, never to be spoken, only to be felt. You stare at him. The small moonlit pillow still warms in your hands. Its glow faint but unyielding. He dares to raise his eyes, and you see both fear and reverence there. The pillows were never meant only to carry sleep. They were meant to carry the dream of the empire, to hold its heart steady, so rulers could rest without fear of waking to ruin. But if the dream breaks, the empire breaks with it. The door shudders again. Voices rise beyond it, urgent, furious. The rebellion has reached the chamber, you whisper. Though your throat is dry. What is the last code? The pillowmaker does not answer in words. Instead, he reaches forward, touches the pillow in your arms with trembling fingers. The chamber seems to dim, shadows thickening like ink. Then you feel it like a breath inhaled not by you, but by the walls themselves. The silence deepens, not as emptiness, but as presence, alive. Watching that it is the last code. Silence not as vow, not as prison, but as being, a force older than palace, older than empire. The pounding stops, the voices beyond the door falter. For a heartbeat, the entire palace holds still. But then the rebellion surges louder, resisting even this presence. A roar of voices crushes against the chamber walls, refusing to yield. They will not return to silence. The pillowmaker trembles. It listens to you now. He whispers, it has chosen you. But you must decide, will you hold the silence for the empire, or let the voices break it? Your fingers tighten on the pillow. Its glow spreads into your chest, slow and heavy. Threading through your veins, you feel both lull and burden, comfort and cage. The door bursts. Figures flood in, faces half veiled, eyes burning, hands gripping weapons. They freeze at the sight of you, at the sight of what you hold. Some bow their heads, reverent. Others snarl, defiant. The air is thick with division. And there you stand, between silence and voice, with the weight of 1,000 unspoken dreams pressed into your hands. The empire waits on your breath. The chamber is full. Torches flare in trembling hands, still. Glints under the wavering glow, the rebels stand against the loyalists. Yet all eyes fix on you. On the pillow in your grasp. The silence breathes through you now, slow, steady, ancient. It does not beg. It does not plead. It simply waits. The voices of the rebels crash against it. Fierce and unrelenting. We will not be hushed, they chant. We will not dream another man's dream. The loyalists fall to their knees, pressing foreheads against the marble floor. Keep silence, or all will shatter. They whisper. Both sides tremble, but not from each other, from you. The pillow grows heavier in your hands. Its warmth spreads to your arms, your chest, your lungs, until even your heartbeat falls in rhythm. With it, a steady hush, like waves folding into shore. You realize then, the choice was never about empire, nor rebels, nor codes. The silence was never theirs to command. It was always yours. The chamber waits, the palace waits, history waits. You close your eyes. You take a single breath, and then you let go. The pillow slips from your hands. It drifts soundlessly to the floor. Yet when it touches the marble, the chamber erupts with stillness, not the fragile quiet of suppression, but a vast, eternal calm. Voices hold mid-chant. Weapons freeze mid-swing. Torches burn without crackle. Every breath, every movement, every heart beats still. The silence spreads. It flows past the chamber, down the corridors, through courtyards and gardens, over ramparts and streets. The whole empire folds into it, sinking deeper and deeper, until the world itself feels sear adled. It is not death, it is not sleep, it is something in between, a rest too vast to resist. You stand in the center, unmoored, the rebels' eyes close, not in defeat but in surrender. The loyalists melt into the marble. Weightless, the pillow lies at your feet, no longer glowing, simply there, ordinary, as though nothing had ever lived within it. You understand. At last. The code was not meant to bind rulers or silence voices. It was meant to remind the empire that rest, too, is power. That sometimes the greatest rebellion, the greatest loyalty, the greatest dream is stillness itself. Your own body grows heavy. The silence cradles you as it has cradled them all. You lie down beside the pillow, feeling its faint warmth one last time. Your eyes drift shut. The chamber dissolves, the empire dissolves, and you, too, are carried away into that endless hush. The silence has chosen, and it has chosen rest.